Good evening and welcome to the Newshour Agenda. I'm Madhavdas G. Now, ahead of by-polls in UP and assembly polls in Maharashtra and Jharkhand, there's a ferocious battle underway over Batenge to Katenge call. The warning, which was originally issued by UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath 2 months ago amidst the Bangladesh unrest. The Chief Minister has since repeated this in several of his poll rallies. Now, addressing an election rally in Jharkhand, the Chief Minister reiterated the Batenge call, saying that whenever we get divided on the basis of caste, region or language, we were subjected to brutality. Listen in.
देश का इतिहास गवाह है, इस देश का इतिहास गवाह है, जब भी जाति के नाम पर, क्षेत्र के नाम पर, भाषा के नाम पर बंटे हैं, तो निर्ममता से कटे भी हैं। हम बार बार इस बात को कहते हैं, जाति के नाम पर मत बंटिए।
The BJP strongly defended Yogi's call, saying that it was important for society to unite, especially in a place like Jharkhand, where due to infiltration, the identity of Adivasi community is at risk.
योगी आदित्यनाथ जी ने बिल्कुल सही कहा है। इसलिए जरूरी है कि समाज बटे नहीं, बल्कि इन घुसपैठियों और घुसपैठियों के समर्थकों के खिलाफ एक स्वर में बोले। जो घुसपैठिया गठबंधन है, वो लगातार घुसपैठियों की वकालत करता है और वोट बैंक के चलते आज आदिवासियों के अस्तित्व पर खतरा पैदा कर दिया है।
However, the Congress party and its India alliance partner Samajwadi Party hit out at Yogi Adityanath's Batenge pitch and his warning to people that they shouldn't be divided on caste lines. While Kharge asserted that it was the BJP which was involved in Batne, Rahul revived the national caste census pitch, saying that when he speaks about caste discrimination, he is accused of dividing the country. Samajwadi Party, on the other hand, alleged that Chief Minister Yogi was resorting to such a divisive pitch because he wants to avoid questions on real issues.
बटेंगे तो कटेंगे, किसको बोला? बांटने वाले ही तुम हो और काटने वाले भी तुम हो और दूसरों को बोल रहे। ये बीजेपी का एजेंडा है, आरएसएस का एजेंडा है। इस एजेंडे को तुमको तोड़ना है।
I'm still wondering why the Prime Minister has not publicly said that he wants to challenge the idea of discrimination in Indian society. Why hasn't he said he wants to know how many Dalits there are in India's boardrooms? How many OBCs are in our judicial system?
ఎంతమంది ఓబీసీలు మన న్యాయ వ్యవస్థలో ఉన్నారని మరి నరేంద్ర మోదీ గారికి తెలవాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది.
How many Adivasis are anchors in our media system? I committed on behalf of the Congress party in Parliament House that we will carry out a national caste census. And for me, Telangana is the model of the national caste census.
उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता पूछ रही है कि उसे रोजगार कब मिलेगा, दूध दही टैक्स से छुटकारा कब मिलेगा, पेपर लीक से छुटकारा कब मिलेगा, आखिर नौकरी कब मिलेगी। उन सवालों का ना जवाब देना पड़े तो नफरत की राजनीति, बंटवारे की राजनीति की किसी तरह से बाई इलेक्शन जीत ले, लेकिन बाई इलेक्शन भारतीय जनता पार्टी हारने जा रही है, पीडीए जीतने जा रहा है।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
This is across to our guest. Joining us is Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of BJP. We have Vishkaran Bhandari, advocate of the Supreme Court, joining us. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, political analyst, is with us. A.S. Deol is spokesperson of the JMM. We also have Faizan Kidwai, spokesperson of Samajwadi Party. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. And let me begin with Kamruzaman Chaudhary. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, first questions first. You have the BJP which is saying that what has been stated by Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is particularly relevant in a state such as Jharkhand, where there has been infiltration, where there have been, some kind of a systematic dwindling of the Adivasi population. How would you respond to this charge and the comments that have been made today by Yogi Adityanath?
Madam, only thing I can say that this bunch of leaders from the Bharatiya Janata Party, they are doing such a damage to the entire idea of India. It will take us centuries to even come back to our original position out here. I am not telling anything out of context out here, because these are the same languages that are spoken by the leaders, whether it be Yogi, whether it be Hemanta, or whether it be Narendra Modi ji or Amit Shah ji, who have campaigned so far in Jharkhand. We have seen it. It's not out of context that the Election Commission of India is a mute spectator to the entire drama that is unfolding out here. What's happening out there is simple dog whistling against the Muslim community just to fill the ballot box. Madhav, you have grown up, I also have grown up in the same country with our neighbors being of different religions, and we know and we have seen how amicably we have all grown up. But now the situation is such that Yogi calls Muslims as virus. He brings out context of 80 versus 20. He calls Muslims as Abbajan. Today he links a Muslim politician with Aurangzeb in obvious reference to the entire community. That means one personal criminal may be stereotyped with the entire community. What is this? And the Election Commission is sitting silent with nothing to do and nothing to say. This is not the way that the India we have all understood and we all know.
Well, Kamarzaman Chaudhary, as far as Election Commission is concerned, only I can tell you that, anybody can go and file a complaint. If it is violating of the laws, I think the laws are pretty straight. As far as the Representation of People Act is concerned and the Model Code of Conduct, there are redressal mechanisms. If you feel that this is a statement in violation of that, I don't think that has happened at the moment. But Sanju Verma, you've heard what Kamarzaman Chaudhary has said. In addition to that, you would have also heard what Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge has said. He says, Baatne wale bhi aap log hain aur kaatne wale bhi aap log hain. What really would you respond to a statement such as that coming from the Congress president?
Madhav, I always believe in the power of facts. And fact number one is that, in English, united we stand, divided we fall, was a slogan raised by Congress leader A.C. Majumdar in the Congress session way back in 1916. And then you had Winston Churchill, a globally acknowledged leader who spoke about united we stand, divided we fall in 1941. You had the 16th American president, Abraham Lincoln, saying united we stand, divided we fall. You had the 32nd American president, Franklin D. Roosevelt, who said united we stand, divided we fall. In the King James version of the Bible, they say that a kingdom which is divided is destined to ruin itself. So, कहने का तात्पर्य ये है, when you say it in English, united we stand, divided we fall, सब चंगा सी. But the moment you say it in Shuddha Hindi, बटेंगे तो कटेंगे, एक रहोगे तो नेक रहोगे, the entire ecosystem of woke liberals is rattled to the core, and I'm loving it because this showcases the hypocrisy of an entire ecosystem which, accuses the Modi government of being Islamophobic but is living in denial. And I'll tell you why they're living in denial. Kamarzaman said, Yogi Adityanath is engaging in dog whistling. I'll tell you what dog whistling is. Dog whistling is what happened in September 2022, Madhav. Just before starting his Bharat Jodo Yatra then, Rahul Gandhi was accompanied by an Hindu-phobic pastor called George Punaiya. And he said, we should wear shoes because Bharat Mata is somebody who suffers from scabies and she has the ability to contaminate us. And then he apologized after multiple FIRs were filed against him. Come September 2023, Udayanithi Stalin has the audacity to say Sanatan Dharma should be eradicated, and then he says Sanatan Dharma is equal to dengue, malaria, rabies, COVID, what have you. And now let's talk of September 2024. Very quickly, Madhav. On the 8th of September 2024 at the University of Texas, what did Rahul Gandhi say? He said India is not a nation but an entity that is at linguistic war with itself. I'm quoting him ad verbatim. That is dog whistling. On September 10th, 2024 at Virginia, at a public event, what did Rahul Gandhi say? Okay. He said in India, Sikhs are not allowed to wear kada, not visit Gurudwara, not allowed to wear a turban. And then he says this is not the condition of Sikhs. This is the condition of all religions which are not Hindus. So dog whistling इसे कहा जाता है, polarization इसे कहा जाता है. So don't sit here and lecture the Modi government. पहले जाकर अपने राहुल बाबा को समझाइए. He should not go on foreign shows and undermine the credibility of India. He even went in 2022 to Cambridge and said India is not a nation but a union of states, undermining the very concept of the Indian Republic. Okay, I'm going to, in addition to what Sanju has said, Kamarzaman Chaudhary, I'm going to add one more question before I go across to other panelists. The point over here is this. Today, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, while speaking after a meeting incidentally for the caste census in Telangana, comes out to say that I'm still wondering why the PM hasn't publicly stated that he wants to challenge the idea of discrimination in Indian society. The same Telangana and the same Chief Minister last year came out to say that Telangana's DNA is better than DNA. Is this a unity message?
And where is the Mohabbat ki dukaan when such statements come in from Mr. Revanth Reddy?
No, you need to have a better comprehension to understand what these leaders are saying. They have never said that आप इनको कपड़ों से पहचानो. ये घुसपैठिया है with obvious references to.
So saying Bihar and Telangana DNA is different is okay according to you?
These are not the statements of Rahul Gandhi or Revanth Reddy. Because my leaders whom I subscribe to will never stoop so low for a few votes that you vilify a 20%
Sir, did he make a statement that Telangana DNA is better than Bihar DNA or not? I'm asking you a simple question, Mr. Chaudhary. You have not answered it. Did he make a statement that Telangana DNA is better than Bihar DNA? Yes or no?
I say that. That's what I said. As a Bengali, I feel my DNA is better than that of the Biharis. Does it make any difference?
Sir, but this is the whole point. Isn't that a divisive message?
To my land.
Isn't that a divisive message? Where is the moral high ground then? Where is the moral high ground, Mr. Chaudhary?
But then Madhav, for centuries we have seen what Brahminical patriarchy has done to the country. That's where the real difference comes in. Why should a Dalit not be offered a chance to pray in the mandir? Why not? Why is he or she so discriminated that today Rahul Gandhi had to speak about the caste census? Why is the Bharatiya Janata Party and the deep state ecosystem still afraid of the caste census? Why are they afraid to talk on those lines? बटेंगे तो कटेंगे, अरे देश बटेगा तो हम सब कटेंगे.
Okay.
अगर आप बटने का बात करते हो तो फिर दलितों को क्यों समान अधिकार नहीं दे रहे हो?
Okay, Sanju Verma, and in fact, let me just quote what Rahul has said, and Sanju Verma, you can respond to that. He says, I'm still wondering why PM hasn't publicly stated that he wants to challenge the idea of discrimination in Indian society. Why isn't he asked how many Dalits are in India's corporate sector, how many OBCs are in our judicial system, and how many Adivasis are anchors in our media? This is a statement coming from Mr. Rahul Gandhi. How would you respond to this?
You know, a couple of things. First and foremost, Rahul Gandhi, who keeps screaming from every available rooftop, caste census, caste census. I want to just tell him, Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, सोनिया गांधी की कास्ट बताइए, प्रियंका वड्रा की कास्ट बताइए, राहुल गांधी अपनी खुद की कास्ट बताइए, सुमन दुबे की कास्ट बताइए, अशोक गांगुली की कास्ट बताइए, पी चिदम्बरम की कास्ट बताइए, because these are all members of Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. There is not a single Dalit or Adivasi in the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. Point number one. Point number two, Madhav, I'm sure you know you have a great memory. Do you remember after losing Amethi in 2019, what did Rahul Gandhi say? He said, you know, Uttar Pradesh में अलग मुद्दों पर चुनाव लड़े जाते हैं. The public of Kerala actually always fights on issues. That is why I love the people of Wayanad. That time he was, you know, playing the Wayanad-Amethi divide. And then now I'll very quickly tell you one thing. I think this showcases the entire controversy in its correct perspective. Just 20 seconds. Undivided Bihar, because we all know Bihar came into existence in 1950, but modern-day Jharkhand was carved out of southern Bihar only as recently as 2000. Undivided Bihar 1951, tribal/Adivasi population 46.8%. In 2011, as per the census, the Adivasi population in undivided Bihar, including Jharkhand, is down to 28.1%, whereas in sharp contrast, Muslim population is up from 9.4% in undivided Bihar to 22.73% as we speak, and not the entire growth in Muslim population has been organic. It has been because of Ghuspetiyas, illegal Bangladeshi migrants, and Rohingyas coming into Jharkhand, because don't forget, Jharkhand shares border with Bihar in the north, Uttar Pradesh and Chhattisgarh in the west, West Bengal in the east, and Odisha in the south.
Let me take that question to the JMM spokesperson. Mr. A.S. Deol is here. Mr. Deol, how do you respond to Sanju Verma? She's talking about the statistics and the demography, how it has changed in Jharkhand, and the statement of the UP Chief Minister perhaps was only to highlight that point. Please respond.
See, thanks a lot, Mother. Sanju Verma is being the typical Bhakt, and she's doing a good job at it. She said that in English we say united we stand, divided we fall. And she took a lot of names, whoever quoted that. So did they quote that united we stand only for Hindus and not Muslims? It was for the whole country. But here we have the modern Hindu Ayatollah Khomeini of our own saying, Hindus united raho, then we are safe. Muslims should be thrown out, they are Aurangzebs. What he is trying to do is being a Hindu Aurangzeb of India today. So I just want to ask Sanju, do you have the problem with Muslims or Muslims that have come from Bangladesh? Please first make it clear. And then ask your netas to please correct their speeches and do not combine both of them. I have an issue. If a single infiltrator, a person of non-Indian origin, comes here without proper papers, he should be taken to task, he should be deported, whatever law action has to be taken, should be taken. I am there with you. But don't generalize it for the Indian Muslims. They have as good as a right a Hindu has on India, a Muslim has, a Sikh has. See, I'll tell you one thing. Now, a few examples how the big netas
let's go point by point. Let's go point by point. You made a specific point. I want Ishkaran to come in on that, and then you can come in. Ishkaran, how do you respond to Mr. Deol? Because he's saying it's one thing to talk about infiltrators coming in from Bangladesh, but some of this signaling appears to be directed towards Indian Muslims is his charge. Please respond to him, and of course he has used a lot of adjectives for the UP Chief Minister.
Madhav, I'll come to that, but if I heard correctly, one of your panelists said, if I believe my DNA as a Bengali is better than somebody's DNA as a Bihari, what's wrong with it? If I heard it correctly, that's the classic definition of racism and bigotry, when you believe your DNA is better than the DNA of any other human being. That's the definition. So I do not know how people with this mindset, speaking this and asking question what's wrong with it, are justified on a national television. But anyways, be that as it may be, I hope I did not hear it correctly, because anybody can Google, when you say you are better because of birth or DNA, that is how you define racism in any dictionary of the world. But anyways, now coming to the topic at hand which you asked, there is a significant and serious problem of illegal immigration in India. No nation can have borders which are porous and open. There are enough news reports that there have been times when certain politicians have encouraged and wanted illegal immigrants to come into India. And that problem, whether it is 2 crores or 10 crores, that is to be defined. For that is why we need to have the counting of citizens of India which has to go on. That is why we need to have processes which have been opposed, as you know. That is why we had Shaheen Bagh, because the government was going on to this entire direction of identifying which Indian taxpayer does not want to identify who are the citizens of India, every citizen of India, so they get the benefit. Now the third aspect, it is the duty of any politician to talk about unity. Our land has been divided. In 1947, we had partition. So when your land has been divided, can you ignore history and say, no, it doesn't matter? One of your panelists again today said, he is trying to make certain people as Aurangzeb. Till 5 years ago, even till today, there are enough people who are willing to defend Aurangzeb. We had Aurangzeb Road in Delhi because they created an ecosystem where whatever evil Aurangzeb did could not be talked about, could not be discussed, had to be shoved under the carpet, because if you discuss the historical figure that Aurangzeb was and brought light to all his activities, there are enough people who would say you're targeting somebody. Those people who identify with Aurangzeb, who was a monster, who had a history of bigotry, whose actions against Hindus are well documented, then if you did not have a problem, did not want to chuck it under the carpet, we would not be having a debate today, because then we would be talking about today. But when you try to glorify Aurangzeb, people have to speak about Aurangzeb's record in its full detail. Now lastly, all Yogi Adityanath said is, batenge to katenge. All leaders talk about unity. It is your presumptions, because certain things you have commented about Yogi Adityanath, he never spoke that. He has never said the things they have been saying here, that Muslims ko bahar nikalo. I don't think so. Any statement he's ever said anything like that about any citizen of this country. So stop spreading things which have not been said by Yogi Adityanath. Stick to what he said. What he said is a message of unity for everybody, which every politician, as Sanju Verma documented, across the history of world has always spoken about.
Right. And in fact, before I come across to Faizan, very quick question is, Deol, we're at a situation where, you know, he spoke extensively on Aurangzeb. Today, Aurangzeb posters have been put up in Belagavi in Karnataka, a Congress-ruled state incidentally, where he has been called Sultan-e-Hind, or the real founder of a united India. You know, at a time when there are, you know, all sorts of attacks taking place from Bangladesh to Canada, you know, it's a very, very regressive mindset. And that's the mindset that perhaps the BJP says is trying to counter, Mr. Deol.
See, I don't subscribe to these kinds of things. See, whoever is doing this is not doing the right thing. I have this in me to openly criticize if something is wrong. But the advocate from the Supreme Court, You should not write Supreme Court advocate. You should write BJP supporter or something like that, because he's not ready to listen to what I said. I said.
No, that's not a fair comment, sir. Everybody can identify with their profession. That's not a fair comment. Yeah.
Aurangzeb was a monster. So you are becoming a bigger monster than Aurangzeb to get back at him and get back at Muslims. That's what you're saying?
Where is the comparison?
I just asked a simple question. Sir,
Aurangzeb is somebody who destroyed places of worship. Aurangzeb is somebody who looted and plundered, carried out murders and mayhem. How are you comparing anybody in today's modern world with Aurangzeb? Where is the comparison?
How many cases were there on Yogi Adityanath when he came to power, and how many cases on himself he removed when he took power as the chief minister? There were more than 100 cases on him of murder, violence, everything.
You want to respond to that, Mr.
One sec, let me finish. You did not ask Sanju Verma to come out clean of what Hemanta Biswa Sarma and what Modi ji and what your Home Minister of ours, is he against the normal general Muslim population of our country, or he is just against the infiltrators? If you are against the infiltrators, you have to first prove.
I just asked that question to Ishkaran Bhandari, sir. I don't know whether you were paying attention or not. I just asked that question. Where is the question of hiding it?
Is he the spokesman of BJP? Is he accepting?
Sir, please allow me to conduct the debate. He represents a particular point of view, and he is, of course, aligned with the, to that extent, at least ideologically, aligned to the BJP. I don't think you've been participating in many debates, because you wouldn't be asking such a ridiculous question. But let me, in fact, not waste much time. Ishkaran, you want to quickly respond to what Mr. Deol is saying?
Madhav? Yeah. Madhav, you need to have a pea brain to think that if somebody speaks a point of view, he does not belong to the profession he belongs to, but becomes a supporter of BJP. Everybody in this country votes, and they have the right to vote for whomsoever they want to. That is the freedom of speech of this country. A journalist can speak freely, a lawyer can speak freely, a professional can speak freely. It is only those who believe in Aurangzeb who do not believe that people can speak freely while belonging to any profession in the world that they want to belong to. The second aspect, I started the debate and I said, unfortunate reality is there are those who glorify Aurangzeb. That is why you have to talk about Aurangzeb in full detail. There were people who were fighting to retain the name Aurangzeb Road in Delhi. So that is why you have to talk about in its full detail. And third point was, please quote Yogi Adityanath's speech, which he gave, and say what part you find objectionable. Not your summarizes, not your hypothesis, not what you believe he said, but what he factually said. You will find nothing objectionable in that.
Okay. Okay, let me go across to Faizan. Now, Faizan, thank you for your patience. And, let me begin with, of course, you referred, what Sanju Verma referred to in terms of Rahul Gandhi's comments post the last Lok Sabha election, not the 2024 one, but the 2019 one, in relation to the people of Wayanad and the people of Uttar Pradesh. And also, secondly, in the context of what we're talking about, your own party's leader, Abu Azmi, saying that 6 to 7 MLAs then are elected, then there will be no one who will be able to subdue Muslims in Maharashtra. Aren't these kind of statements also divisive, sir? The same thing that the opposition is accusing the BJP of doing.
Madhav, first let me start by offering my condolences. I'm sure you are aware that the Mumbai Ahmedabad bullet train track bridge has collapsed in Gujarat. Several people have died. Some are still buried under the debris. So let's wish those who are still buried that they come out safely. And all this is happening due to the corruption of the one and only Narendra Modi. As far as Ishwaran, see, there are certain things which Sanju Verma raised, certain points that you do not question Modi government. Of course, we will question Modi government when there's a corruption of this magnitude, where innocent people are dying because of your corruption. You will be questioned. Or Ishwaran, you said there's illegal infiltration. So if there is illegal infiltration, that is what Mr. Adityanath also pointed out in Jharkhand. Whose responsibility is it? It's the responsibility of the central government, not of the state government. And if there's infiltration, then the central government has failed, just like it failed in Balakot, just like it failed in Pulwama. So Narendra Modi is failing on all fronts. Then Ishwaran said, he says, baatenge to katenge. Narendra, you should know, Ishwaran, Yogi Adityanath is a champion of Baatne ki Rajniti. He's the one who said 80-20 ki Rajniti, creating a divide on communal lines. Then he's the one who in 2020 said, मैं ठाकुरवादी हूँ, ठाकुरवादी राजनीति करता हूँ. The Hindustan Times, Scroll, the News India Express reports, just kindly read them. In Uttar Pradesh, as of now, more than 40% of key law enforcement and administrative jobs belong to the people of upper caste and majorly to the caste from where Mr. Adityanath comes from. Madhav, Mr. Adityanath spoke about Aurangzeb. He said JMM leaders are Aurangzeb and they have looted the state. I just want to tell you, Madhav, that in Ayodhya, if you see, there was a land, a 13,000-acre land, which was only for the Indian Army, which was to be used for defense purposes. Mr. Adityanath denotified it, and it was eventually made available for the rich industrialists and rich people, a lot of people who support Bharatiya Janata Party. Then there was BJP MLA Ved Prakash Gupta and Milkipur MLA Gorakhnath and City Mayor Rishikesh Upadhyay.
What do these have to do with the debate that we are having, Faizan? I mean, corruption is a very important subject, and as a citizen, governance and corruption is something should be concerned about. We are talking about today's comments. Please come to the point.
Aren't we discussing what Mr. Adityanath did in Jharkhand? His speeches. I was told that we are discussing Yogi Adityanath in Jharkhand.
In response to the on the one side, the Congress and Mr. Rahul Gandhi talking about the caste census. On the other side, you have the BJP talking about batenge to katenge. That's a simple debate.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. These are the people
all the way on to corruption.
They are stealing on Madhav. They are stealing on communal lines. In 2017, if you see, a constitutional bench of 7 judges said that you cannot seek votes by spreading hatred or fear against a community. Just see what Hemanta Biswa Sarma is doing. You just see what Narendra Modi is constantly doing. They're dividing people on communal lines, seeking votes. So shouldn't these people be barred or certain action be taken against them for some short-term political benefits? BJP is destroying the social fabric of this great nation of Hindustan.
Okay.
And somebody has to finally speak up. And that is what Akhilesh ji has said time and again. कि सकारात्मक समाज क्या है आज का, नहीं चाहिए भाजपा. हम जीतेंगे, साथ रहेंगे,
Sanju Verma, once again the charge, you're dividing society in the name of votes, and that is something that is destroying the social fabric, he says. Please respond to him.
You know, let me make one thing very clear, and I always say that data never lies by and large. You know, यहाँ बैठकर भाजपा को नसीहत देना बहुत आसान है, but I always endorse my argument with statistics. And the hard data is this, Madhav. I've said this umpteen times, but I will not get tired of reinforcing it. 31% of PM Awas Yojana allocated to minorities by the Modi government, especially Muslims. 33% of Ayushman Bharat allocated to minorities, especially Muslims. 36% of PM Ujjwala Yojana allocated to minorities, especially Muslims. 37% of Mudra Yojana allocated to minorities, especially Muslims. And in the last 10 years of Modi government, more than 9.8 crore minority students have received scholarships, and large part of those are Muslims. So, पहली बात तो ये, Modi government has done more for Muslims in the last 10 years than what any government did in the previous 60 years. तो यहाँ बैठकर जो आप सर्टिफिकेट बांट रहे हो that Modi government is Islamophobic, पहले जाकर अपने गिरेबान में झांकिए. Look at your own backyard. Now I will talk about Akhilesh Yadav. Akhilesh Yadav is the same guy who couple of weeks back, after his close confidant Mohit Khan was accused of raping a minor Dalit, said कि पहले ये लड़की का DNA टेस्ट करवाओ. दलितों के बारे में आकर टीवी डिबेट पर आप भाषण देते हो, but when a 12 or a 13-year-old is raped by the closest confidant of Akhilesh Yadav, आप लोगों के मुंह में फेरी को लग जाता है. Then there is another rapist from Samajwadi Party, Virender Bahadur Pal, again a very close friend of Akhilesh Yadav. Akhilesh Yadav is saying victim is lying, victim का polygraph test करवाइए. And why? Because the victim belonged to a marginalized Adivasi community. इसलिए भाई साहब यहाँ बैठकर नसीहत मत दीजिए. Walk the talk. You guys don't walk the talk. That is the reason. After 3 consecutive Lok Sabha elections, your Indie alliance is still cooling its heel in opposition benches and not treasury benches.
Very quick question to Faizan.
Opposition benches में ही रहना है.
Very quick question to Faizan in context of what Sanju Verma has said. Sir, there have been attacks that have been taking place on Hindus in Canada. Now, the BJP has come out today to question why top leaders of the opposition, whether it is Mr. Rahul Gandhi or Priyanka Gandhi, whether it is your party's leader, Mr. Akhilesh Yadav, why are they so silent on that? If there are attacks taking place on Hindus anywhere, shouldn't that be a matter of concern for party leaders such as your own party's leader?
Yes, Madhav, we have always condemned any kind of an attack on any community, on any individual. Unfortunately, BJP has not done the same. BJP is constantly, you just see what Hemanta Biswa Sarma is saying.
But has Mr. Akhilesh Yadav said something? I'm not aware. Please educate us in case he has said something.
Madhav, let me first answer what Sanju Verma said. Sanju Verma was giving statistics of how much Narendra Modi has done for the Muslim community. Madam, first of all, whatever Mr. Modi did, he's not giving the money from his own pocket. Ye taxpayers ka paisa, Hindustan ka paisa hai. So he's doing no favor on anybody. Second, your Hemanta Biswa Sarma, ma'am, I didn't reject. Ma'am, I didn't reject. Your Hemanta Biswa Sarma says, Irfan Ansari Alam, hame loot lenge. वाजपेयी जी ने इरफान आलम अंसारी के लिए झारखंड नहीं बनाया था. This just goes on to prove the hatred this fellow Hemanta Biswa Sarma has, who till yesterday you people were saying कि दुनिया का सबसे corrupt इंसान है.
The moment I choose data ID, आपका victim card निकल आया.
Okay.
You people are
आपका victim card निकल आया.
पसमानदा
The
मुसलमान
moment I choose data ID, आपका victim card निकल आया.
Okay.
कौन हुआ? Why are you spreading?
Okay, let's leave it there. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not. We've had a very good debate. We've had a very reasonable debate. All of you have made very rational points. But the point over here is whether coming up as far as the election season is concerned, the peak of the campaign season is concerned, we're going to be hearing a lot more of this rhetoric. That's certainly the big question. Sanju Verma, Ishkan Bhandari, Kamruzaman Chaudhary, A.S. Deol, Faizan Kidwai, thank you so much for joining us on debate number 1 on the Newshour Agenda.